Kellogg's spent millions of dollars to tell you that fiber makes you poop. That's not an insight. That's just straight up biology. It's not psychology. It's not even human behavior. Well, technically it's human behavior, obviously, but not the kind that we're talking about here. Okay, so it's not human behavior in that sense. It's also not a truth that makes you feel seen or understood or connected to a brand. It's just a fact you learned in the fifth grade, probably laughed at like I did. And the fact that one of the most celebrated agencies in the world, working with one of the most recognizable celebrities on the planet, built an entire Super Bowl campaign around that fact, well, that's what we're breaking down today. What's up? I'm Eddie B, Madman, Super Bowl writer, and I love to break down ads all through the lens of human insight, and that's what we're doing today. Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, what up, dog? If you're watching, hey man, you're someone I have enormous respect for. You build an entire empire, your instincts on attention and culture and marketing, jab, jab, hook, all that, man. I've been watching and following you for a really long time. And I'm finally making content. It only took years of listening to you to finally actually start doing it. So you always talk about putting your passions online and stuff. So I'm finally doing this, and it's because of you. So anyway, thank you, Gary. This one's for you. Okay, back at it. So your agency, Vayner Media, one of the most celebrated agencies currently, right? And they made this ad. So if you're watching this, I really hope you are, Gary. Please watch the whole thing because this is not a hit piece. I promise you, it's quite the opposite. It's just a case study in something that happens at the best agencies in the world, including yours. And I think you'll agree with every word of it. So this ad, the Will Shat Raisin Bran ad, it's not offensive or controversial, and it didn't get pulled in 24 hours like the Pepsi Jenner Kendall disaster. It's so bad I could barely even say her name. Broke down last week, right? This ad just didn't work. And that's actually the more instructive failure here. Because the ads that blow up in scandal at least teach you what not to do culturally. This one teaches you something more fundamental. It teaches you what happens when you have every resource imaginable, right? You got a legendary agency, you got an A-list celebrity, you got a massive budget, but then you still skip the one step that matters the most, the insight. Let me show you exactly where it went wrong. So I'm gonna set the scene real quick. Raisin Bran has a problem that's been building for decades. It's a cereal people associate kind of with our grandparents, right? They associate it with like what they're supposed to do, not what they want to do, right? It's kind of breakfast you eat because not because you want to, it's because your doctor said, hey, you need more fiber in your diet, right? So the brand equity is essentially, it's responsible, but boring. But that's actually a fascinating brief in and of itself because there's real tension there. See, people want to be healthy. They also want to enjoy their lives. And the gap between those two things, that's where real insight lives. There were 100 ways into this brief, right? That could have produced something genuinely powerful. You could have leaned into the tension itself, like lean into the tension of the war between what your body needs and what your taste buds want. There's some interesting tension there, right? You could have found the person who genuinely loves Raisin Bran and made them feel seen the way Nike did with Walter Stack, right, for the Just Do It ad, right? You could have done that. I don't think it would have been very compelling, just giving the example of what could have been done with a deeper insight. And you could have done what VW did, which I think would have been really smart, right? With the VW Think Small campaign, and owned that boring, healthy breakfast positioning. Just own the hell out of it with such confidence it became like a badge of honor. So any of those directions would have started with a real human truth. Instead, though, VaynerMedia asked a completely different question. Unfortunately, it was the wrong one. So here's what the work tells us that the brief actually was. Mind you, I don't have the brief, never saw the brief, don't claim to have ever seen the brief. But after doing this for so long, I'm able to kind of reverse engineer. Here's my best assumption of what it said, or something to this effect. Okay. How do we make Raisin Bran feel fun and relevant by associating it with a recognizable celebrity? It's a lot of words for basically, hey man, how do we make Raisin Bran feel fun and cool? Well, and find a celebrity to make it happen. It's Super Bowl, we need celebrity, we need all that stuff, right? But notice what's missing from that question. The audience. There's no human being in that brief. There's no feeling, there's no tension or truth or any of it, right? It's just celebrity plus brand equals relevance. That's not a brief. It's just a math equation, and sorry to say, it's the wrong math. So what do they do? They cast William Shatner, right? Captain Kirk himself, man. I mean, to call him a pulp culture icon would be an understatement of epic proportions, right? He's a genuinely funny dude. Great choice on paper. Yeah, absolutely. And you all built a campaign around the wordplay of Will Shat, right? Shatner's nickname, which it sounds like something Raisin Bran is supposed to help you do, right? Whole point of the commercial. On paper, it's not the worst idea. But here's the problem. The wordplay is the entire idea. There's nothing underneath it. There's no human truth. There's no emotional connection or any reason for any audience to feel anything except for the fact of like, oh, it's kind of clever. Oh, it's kind of funny, right? When kind of clever and kind of funny is on an insight, it's on a campaign. All it is a, sorry to say, it's a poop joke with the production budget, right? So look, that did kind of work though. I'm gonna give it that, okay? And it's funny in a juvenile way. Shatter's charming. The wordplay does land. I'll admit it. I laughed when I saw it. I knew it wasn't great in the terms of a great ad based on everything we're going through. But for the sake of Super Bowl, having something funny, I was very happy to see that. Hey, there's a funny ad on Super Bowl. Happy to see that just in and of itself. So anyway, the wordplay lands. But here's where it gets interesting. The tagline you'll end it on was high fiber, happy gut. I want to sit with that for a second because that tagline actually had potential. Hidden inside of it was the real human truth. The relief of feeling good in your body, the quiet embarrassment nobody wants to talk about, self-consciousness that comes with not really going and all that stuff, feeling bloated, whatever. That could have been an insight. Instead, it became a punchline. And the thing about punchlines is, people will laugh, but then they move on. So, what was the commercial for? Oh, I think it was for cereal, right? Well, which one? I don't know. It was all the Shatner. Failure of the brand recall, I should say, is hiding kind of inside of a funny ad, right? People remembered Shatner, but they forgot Raisin Bran, which is kind of the whole point. If they forget that, sorry, that's not a win. That's an expensive loss dressed up as entertainment. Here's the other problem nobody's talking about. The unique selling proposition or lack thereof, right? USP, unique selling proposition. You need to have a selling proposition that is unique, right? What are you saying that's unique? Is Raisin Bran the only cereal with fiber? No. Any cereal with enough fiber is going to help you go, right, to the bathroom and help you poop, right? So what exactly is Raisin Bran owning here? What makes this brand the one to say this truth? Nothing. And that's the ownership problem. Could any other brand have run this campaign? Million percent. Cheerios could have done it. All Brand could have done it. Fiber One could have done it. Any fiber-rich cereal going down the aisle of any grocery store could have done it. And when any brand can run your campaign, you don't have an insight, you have a theme. Now look, I'm not the only one who noticed this, okay? Adweek ran a piece right after Super Bowl where they asked creatives to react to this ad. And most of them liked it, which is fine. It is funny. Shatner is charming, the whole thing. I get it. But one quote jumped out at me, and I want to read it to you word for word because it proves my point better than anything else I could have even said myself. Josh Rosenberg, CEO of Day One Agency, said, Shatner for the win. The casting is literally perfect here. The ad doesn't work without him. I want to stop right there for a second because he meant that as a compliment, and I'm not trying to shit on him or shat on him, right? I'm going to use this as Exhibit A for exactly what went wrong. Notice what he said. The ad doesn't work without him. The ad doesn't work without him. That's not a review of great advertising. That's an accidental confession that there's no idea underneath the execution. And here's the other one that got me, right? Gordy saying, co-founder, CEO of Quality Meats, compared it to the Kmart, I just shipped my pants campaign for over a decade ago. It was meant as a compliment. I heard it as a problem. Because when the best creative comparison anyone can make is to a joke that's already been done, that's not originality, that's just a cover version, right? So listen, I want to be really clear about something because this mistake is everywhere and it's not unique to this campaign. A celebrity is an amplifier, not an insight. A celebrity takes whatever human truth you've found and makes it louder, makes it more visible, makes it way more culturally resonant, right? But if there's no human truth to amplify, a celebrity just makes the emptiness louder. Chris Evans didn't make Smart Pack work. The Insight made Smart Pack work. Chris Evans and John Krasinski and them made it iconic. There's a sequence there that most brands get completely backwards. They cast a celebrity first, then they try to build a brief around the casting. And what you end up with is a campaign that's really about the celebrity, not about the audience. The audience can feel that. They always can. And when you watch a celebrity ad and something feels off, just feels like there's something missing, right? The celeb's there, it's like it looks cool, right? It's kind of funny, but the human truth is not there. You can feel that. And the human truth is the only thing that makes people feel something real. Here's a test I always run. Would this ad have worked without William Shatner? We just talked about that. Hard freaking no, not even close. Because his name is the joke. You take away Shatner, and there's literally nothing left. I want you to compare that to the Snickers "You're Not You When You're Hungry" campaign. Would that have worked without Betty White? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Would it have worked with any D-list celebrity that people know, B-list, C-list, whatever the hell, right? It would have worked just as well with Kathy Griffin as it would with Betty White, as it would with Halle Berry, as it would with Meryl Streep. It wouldn't have mattered, right? It would have worked to any celebrity because the concept was so strong and the insight was so deep that the celebrity was amplification, not foundation. That's the difference between insight and casting. Vayner Media knows this. I have no doubt about it. Gary Vee, you have talked about human first marketing for years. Your content's full of it in the best way, right? But somewhere between the strategy conversation and the brief that went to the creative team, that human part got lost. Look, it happens. It happens to the best agencies in the world, to the best creators in the world. It happens, right? Question is, how do you catch it before the cameras fall? And the answer is always the same. Go back to the brief, find the human truth, make sure it's there before anything else ever gets decided. Now, here's what you take away from this into every brief you ever work on. Celebrities don't save and can't save a weak brief. They expose them. The bigger the celebrity, the more visible the emptiness underneath it becomes. Because a famous face raises expectations. Think about that too, right? And when those expectations meet a hollow insight, the disappointment is proportional to the star power. Nobody expected much from a nobody, right? Nobody would expect much from a nobody in a low budget serial ad, right? But William Shatner, Captain Kirk on Super Bowl, in campaign from one of the most celebrated agencies in the world, you expect something to land. And when it doesn't, when the best joke is a pun about defecation, you feel that gap between the potential and the result. That gap is the missing insight. There's also a difference here I want to name here, right? It's a difference between biology and psychology. What is the biology here? Fiber makes you poop, right? That's a fact. It's a benefit, something any doctor or fifth grader, right, can tell you. Psychology is almost everyone has felt that quiet embarrassment of being irregular. I hate that term, but that's kind of what it is, right? The self-consciousness, right? That discomfort, right? The relief, and that relief when things are finally starting to go in your favor, right? Finally, the train is moving, right? Nobody talks about it, but everyone has felt it. That is a human truth, and that is where the insight lives. So look, biology tells you what the product does. Psychology tells you what the person feels. And great advertising always lives in psychology. Always has, always will. So here's a question for your next brief. If you remove the celebrity, if you took out that famous face, a recognizable voice, cultural icon, whatever, would your idea still work? If your answer is yes, congratulations, you have an insight, and the celebrity is just going to make it bigger. If the answer is no, you don't have an insight, you got a casting decision masquerading as a strategy, right? So in that case, you got to find that human truth first, baby. You got to cast the celebrity second. That comes next. That's the sequence, okay? Human truth first, celebrity second. It's always been the sequence, always will be. And that's what I teach at the Insight Foundry, right? Not how to write for celebrities, but how to find the truth that makes any execution with or without a famous face genuinely unfreaking deniable. My link is in the description, all right? Come and find us. And Gary Vee, if you're watching this, man, I mean every word of the respect I have for what you've built. This one just needed a better brief. I'd love to talk to you about it sometime, talk to your team about it, talk to your strategists about it, right? Please, I love you, man. All right, see you in the next breakdown. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns of the best and the worst, from the famous to the infamous, right? Ads ever made through the lens of human insight. Next up, we're going to go back to some of the greatest, right? The Budweiser. It's an ad where literally nothing happens. A bunch of dudes saying, "What's up," right? There's no benefit, there's no story, no real drama, right? But it's got millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of views. And it's, spoiler alert, not just because it's a funny phrase. I'll show you exactly why. We'll see you there.